problem, and that's why
us tonight, as it's more our neighbors down south. We'll look at where those stand here in just a moment, but those scattered chances do continue through the weekend. So if you have any of those weekend plans, we will time out those storms county by county coming up here in just a moment. Some strong storms move in early next week, and honestly, if I had a fourth headline, I would go ahead and put the latter part of next week too as another potential strong weather maker. The first 12 showing around 50% coverage there by 10 p.m., but 68 degrees. We will gradually see those rain chances decline overnight. Again, winding down heading into our Saturday, and coverage much less significant for our Saturday. That is a big time positive when we're talking festival plans, and we'll have a look at those forecasts coming up as well. But I said thunderstorm activity is winding down through the night, but right now still pretty action-packed. You see the lightning down there in Macon. We're still 68 degrees, but the golden number I want you to look at, dew points in the upper 50s, is a welcome sight because that means our severe weather potential, not even severe weather potential, our strong storm potential is coming down as well. But nonetheless, you will see a bright night down there in Nmsc County as that electric atmosphere remains in place. Starkville 68 degrees. They got the game in tonight. Shout out to the Bulldogs for coming away with a extra inning victory. But let me say, it was a downpour. Everyone was in ponchos all night. It was a team effort across the board with the fans and the players just staying in that game through the very end, and a very proud Bulldog here to come away with that victory. And as we look right there in Oxford, we are seeing a great shot there. Phoenix Building Solutions. Big story in Oxford tonight. The time has been changed for the games tonight. I mean, you probably know that by now, being that it is 9 o'clock. But those games are going to be at 1 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be looking at those baseball forecasts coming up later this evening. But there is still a little bit of that warm air lingering around as we are 63-degree dew points. But those winds have already shifted to more of a northwesterly flow, and that's helping drive in a calmer atmosphere here to North Mississippi. So what are we seeing right now? Well, we continue to have these thunderstorms move in, and honestly, thunderstorms is not exactly the word to use for the setup, but that's where we're continuing to see those linger there in North Mississippi towards Webster County. But the activity that we're going to be dealing with in regards to severe weather remains further south of I-20, where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 severe thunderstorm warnings in play. So that's a little bit different than what we saw, but the big reason why is just an electric atmosphere. There's a lot more unstable air down there that they're taking full advantage of, and thus producing more of that thunderstorm activity. Fortunately, we are glad that we stayed in the clear pretty much here in North Mississippi, but that main batch, that's what we're continuing to watch. And as you can see, that kind of bowing out is not tied to those strong winds. We're going to jump out of the Jackson radar site here, and you can see, while there is some of those stronger returns, I'm using quotations there because it's not overly concerning. We're only at about 20 to 30 miles an hour, so enough to maybe knock down a few branches, but overall we're remaining below severe limits, and that is definitely a positive. And as we look at those strikes, I mean, really come up here to this storm, we're less than 100 strikes, but down south, as we saw, was 6,000. Yeah, it's a much different pattern. So overall scene, it's just going to be a rainy evening, and we've already seen a ton of rainfall so far here in North Mississippi. As we've talked about with that potential flash flooding, look at how much rainfall we've got right there in Webster County. 3.4 inches. Honestly, let me clear this off. I think we could get a 4 out of this. 3.9, of course, right underneath. Either way, 3.9 inches in about a 8-hour span is a lot of rainfall, and still seeing more of that added onto it. And even eastern Webster County showing up with 2.4, Grenada County getting close to 2 inches as well. And there was spotty coverage elsewhere, but still a decent amount. Exactly what we needed here in North Mississippi was a rain event that was not severe. We got exactly that. So definitely no complaints here in North Mississippi, as this is one way we're going to come out of this steep drought that we've been dealing with over the past several months. So our Mama Justice Doppler radar surface analysis has this cold front keeping that tornado threat well off there towards our west. Actually have a new severe thunderstorm watch in place for those storms, but fortunately, again, not including us here in North Mississippi. So where we're talking those potential impacts, primarily going to be south and west, and really to our south here in the Magnolia State as those severe thunderstorms work their way on through. But this front is driving the pattern, and that's what's going to continue to allow those storms to build towards the south and east. Right here by 10 o'clock, our thunderstorm activity remaining pretty limited, but by 3 a.m. right there, this is the latest version of our HRRR model, at least trying to hint at those showers and storms building in there towards the southwest portion of North Mississippi. And we'll look at the Storm Prediction Center's risk area, not saying a rumble or two is impossible overnight, and even a strong thunderstorm not impossible overnight, as that moisture never really leaves North Mississippi. If we look at the fronts, and I know we'll get back to the storms here in a second, the fronts begin to lift up there towards the north, and we're getting a stationary front to develop. That keeps the moisture and that unstable air around, so any of these storms that do move through, there's enough of an environment to where we could get some of that thunderstorm activity overnight as well. Coverage remaining much more limited, and we're primarily watching the southwest portion of us here in North Mississippi for who can see those potential impacts. By Saturday morning, all of those storms move on out, and our forecast mainly being driven by this stationary. Keep rain chances around by the afternoon, but in a very limited capacity, so that's why our rain chances overall don't get above 10 to 20%. I mean, except for that morning threat, but even that's about 30%, and then we're only going down from there. So as the day continues on, the next 24 hinting at a much different pattern than what we had today, a much drier pattern. And as we look at those potential first pitches over there in Oxford, looking good to go, and even down there towards Starkville for the evening game, going to be only around 20% coverage there as well. So much different story. I think if you ask anyone in Starkville tonight, they would take a forecast looking like this after what they dealt with. But nonetheless, rain chances coming down a bit through our weekend, but still possible with a few strong thunderstorms possible as well. We're looking at our strike model coming up here in the next 60 seconds, and we're also going to be using Storm Finder to walk through those potential storms this weekend. Again, a Mississippi Live exclusive. Can't wait to show you guys that in more detail as we assess this weekend together for any of those plans on this busy weekend ahead. All of that coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 9 here in the next 60 seconds.
Accident detective. Should I call 888-8888?
How do you know that number?
I am from Mississippi.
Ma'am, dial the 8s.
Calling the 8s.
Dial the 8s.
I'm Attorney Casey Lott. When you're hurt in Mississippi, even lifeless objects know who to call.
Don't wait. Dial the 8s.
I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Showers and thunderstorms still possible this weekend, but those chances coming down by a good margin compared to what we've seen today here in North Mississippi. We're 30% there on Saturday, 40% on Sunday, and those rain chances climbing Monday and Tuesday as that frontal system really pushes into North Mississippi, not only giving us thunderstorms, but the potential to add a few strong thunderstorms at that. Rain chances continue into the latter part of the week as well, so we're continuing to monitor that, but let's go ahead and get into our weekend plans. This with our strike model and overlap with our storm finder, and this is again a Mississippi Live exclusive you will only see here on our channel. I think I'm about to sneeze. We made it. Okay. Allergy season still in full swing, so rain doing a lot of favors here in North Mississippi, hopefully clearing out a bit of that pollen. But let's go ahead and get into, I apologize. Let's go ahead and get into our weekend pattern. As you can see, where we're getting those yellows to show up, that's a few of that lightning strike activity, and that's going to be that electric activity, electric skies here in North Mississippi to get our Saturday started. If you notice, the positioning a little bit different than our HRRR model, and that's going to allow for some of that scattered activity to continue throughout the day, but overall coverage very similar to the HRRR model in the fact that it keeps our coverage pretty limited throughout the day. Even by the afternoon hours, while stray showers not possible overall, we're not talking about any strong storms as that threat remains well off there towards our west. I mean, look at that one in northern Louisiana, definitely a different looking setup than what we have here in North Mississippi. Into the afternoon and evening though, this is what we've been monitoring behind the scenes, and it's been relatively consistent on our models, is a high lightning producer and a large storm chance for our Saturday night and our Sunday morning. That gradually working its way through North Mississippi. So if this were to verify, and let me say, our strike model predicted this first, but now other models latching onto this idea of this cluster, of this complex moving through southwest Mississippi. In our area, I saw someone asking in the chat if Olive Branch was northwest or what. Olive Branch is northwest Mississippi in our area and in the overall coverage as well. But if we're talking the southwest portion of our viewing area, that's more Greenville, Greenwood, Chula, places like that. And that's where we expect those storms to move right on through and continue in that southeast direction, affecting a good portion of us here in the southwest quadrant of North Mississippi. But it is still going to potentially produce some strong storms as well. That complex clears out early hours of our Sunday, and we'll just be dealing with some of those scattered showers and storms on the back end, but overall shouldn't be anything too strong. Your Sunday afternoon stays dry and honestly pretty calm and clear, but our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut will be watching this all weekend long, keeping you updated on where those storms do form. But this is basically telling you that they are possible getting into our weekend and for any of those weekend plans. Now heading more into Monday, that next system moves in, and that's where we expect a large margin of thunderstorm activity up there towards Illinois. And as we look up there, I mean, it's a different setting. This is where we expect the bulk of the severe weather to be. But as that cold front moves south, not impossible to get a few storms here in North Mississippi, and a few of those being on the stronger side once again. So that's through your weekend and through your Monday as well. But what we're dealing with right now is a few showers and storms. And I saw folks in the chat saying, what about me? What about this area? What about here? Well, what we're dealing with right now is an area that has come down in its severe weather potential. That is a great positive sign. And while a few rumbles of thunder aren't impossible, overall, we are remaining below severe limits. Even as we look at this cluster right here towards Louisville, all the way north into Eupora and Starkville, we're going to go out of our Monroe County radar site, change this over to our wind mode. And you may notice the winds aren't anything too impressive on here. We're maybe talking 20-mile-an-hour gust, but that's not anywhere close to severe weather limits. And even our peak impacts, trying to detect some small hail forming aloft, but that's the peak impacts, meaning that what's actually coming down to the surface, more than likely just a few areas of heavy rainfall. So overall, not concerned with this. Our hail threat brought to you by True Shield Roofing, not showing much either. So as we look at the overall coverage, I'm not concerned about this. When we shift things south, that's where things start to change. As you see in the coverage, we have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, and with that comes a lot of those strong wind gusts, and especially with that complex out there towards Quitman, that's going to have some strong winds along that leading edge. And as we look at those hail tracks, you're getting some more of those significant returns, and they've gotten confirmed 1-inch hailstones down there in South Mississippi. So here in North Mississippi, honestly, we have a lot to be thankful for. My birthday wish did come true, and it was that we stayed pretty calm up here, and we did exactly that. So again, I said it jokingly, and I'm going to say it jokingly again. I guess I can say you're welcome. I'm just kidding. But nonetheless, we don't have much to be worried about here in the overnight hours. What we're watching, though, and we saw it on our HRRR model a moment ago, is some of that thunderstorm activity overnight that does try to move into North Mississippi. That's going to be Friday night into Saturday morning, but overall, I expect that to remain below severe limits. The area we are watching for when it comes to that potential severe weather is going to be up here towards the Oklahoma area and Texas and northwest Louisiana and southwest Arkansas. That's the focal point for any of those tornadic developments or any of those strong wind gusts, but it could get there into southwest Mississippi, the overall state, southwest Mississippi, for some of those potential reports. But let's go ahead and get into our Saturday, because we do still see that level 1 threat moving right across the river into Greenville, but I just don't see it that much on Saturday. I expect that to primarily be up there towards the Midwest, where that frontal system is fully moving on through. But by Sunday, that's where we're included in that level 1 risk. This due to that complex that's moving overnight that we just tracked a moment ago on our Storm Finder, that we also saw on our HRRR model. So both of those showing or hinting at that cluster moving through, and that's where we could get some strong storms as well. So our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut will be watching that during those overnight hours in case those do get on the stronger side. And getting into Monday, we've seen this threat gradually shift its way towards the north and now getting that level 3 risk towards Springfield, St. Louis, and Jonesboro, Arkansas. Whereas here in North Mississippi, that level 2 threat remaining north of Highway 6, right along the Tennessee state line. And that's where we expect some of those strong storms as well. Now, with that being said, let me actually go back a graphic. We're going to be dealing with the level 1 risk as well, and I think that encompasses a large part of North Mississippi, so be paying attention to that as we approach our Monday. Day planner tonight, we're continuing to stay pretty soggy as those showers and storms work their way on through. A welcome sight, though, because we so desperately need that rainfall. Let's go ahead and time this out on our strike model. As you can see, those showers and storms try to stick around in North Mississippi, more of that development possible, and as that next cluster works its way towards southwest Mississippi, that's where we potentially get some of those stronger storms as well. But overall, we're remaining below severe limits on this batch of cells, and even some of that activity there in the northern half of our area that's remaining below severe limits as well. So overall, I'm not concerned with this. Should all remain below severe limits as we look at the grand scheme of things, and all the rainfall, it's welcome here in our area. We're 61 Corinth, Boonville, and Holly Springs, 59 Water Valley, Bruce, and 61 Houston. We're 63 Starkville, Greenwood, and 65 Greenville and Cleveland. That's perfect conditions for the start of our Arts Festival weekend. Double-decker Arts Festival going on. Perhaps a few showers there by 7 a.m., but overall, that's working out as the day goes on. So during those afternoon hours, perfect time to get out there in Oxford to enjoy those great plans. And it's going to be an enjoyable afternoon, all things considered. Super Bulldog weekend also going on, and we can see that it is going to be a drier afternoon down there in Starkville as well. Perhaps a shower or two not possible, but overall coverage remaining much more limited. So here's a look at those showers dissipating out as we head through the mid to late morning, and by the afternoon, this is where we're tracking a bit of a drier pattern. That stationary front's going to keep some of those isolated rain chances around, but it's going to remain pretty light. So overall, not going to be close to severe limits, those just being some additional sprinkles on top of the heavy rainfall we've already gotten tonight. Those will stick around into our Saturday evening, but the majority of us staying dry for those afternoon plans. We're 79 Water Valley, Senatobia, and South Haven. Just that rain cooling us off, that frontal system cooling us off as well. That's why we're seeing those temperatures dip a little bit, is due to all of that moisture that we've been experiencing over the past 24 hours. So continuing into our Saturday night, that stationary front remains in place, and that's going to be the driver with this system that moves in overnight Saturday night into our Sunday morning. There you're getting a look at it, following right along suit with the stationary front, and that's where we could be getting some of those stronger storms by 3, 4, 5 o'clock on our Sunday morning. Continuing to move through, I said southwest of our area, it's going to be Greenwood, Chula, Hollandale, Greenville, those areas, and even towards Cleveland, expected to get some of those strong thunderstorms, at least the potential for it. We're 60 degrees Oxford and New Albany, 59 Boonville, 58 Red Bay and Corinth, but look south and west. We're in the mid-60s. That's enough unstable air for those storms to take advantage of and perhaps produce a strong thunderstorm. As that stationary front lingers, so will those rain chances into the start of our Sunday. So grab that rain gear for any of those church plans. And as we go into those afternoon hours as well, seeing those rain chances stick around. Now, as we head into the afternoon, those rain chances do start to fizzle away once again, meaning by late afternoon on our Sunday, going to be dry enough to get outside and enjoy some great plans outside as well. We're 81 Holly Springs and New Albany, 82 Starkville, 83 Eupora and Columbus, even seeing 83 out there towards Grenada. So well above our normal, so at least there is that, but definitely going to be a little bit cooler from what we had today. So looking at our Sunday night, we continue to see that front linger around, keeping the moisture around as well, but we'll have to expand things out to get a visual on that next weather maker. And it's actually going to be attached to this low pressure center well up there towards Nebraska and Iowa, cold front extending off of it, and that will drive south, and that's going to be the main driver in our pattern on our Monday. Now, it does take a while to get here. By 3 p.m., it's still situated towards Kansas and Oklahoma, but getting some of that prefrontal activity with some showers and thunderstorms developing, and eventually when that front does get here, you can see right along that line where we're getting some of that thunderstorm development that will develop and perhaps continue into North Mississippi, giving us some strong storms there by early hours of our Tuesday, pre-dawn Tuesday, and even some of those chances continuing into Tuesday as well. One of the big changes that we have seen here in the Room to Room Weather Center was by Thursday and Friday. That frontal system that we've been talking about to wrap up the month of April will be kind of shifting into Friday, at least with how things stand right now, trying to move those chances into an end of the week threat. So we are paying attention to that and monitoring that as we get closer, but that's still 6 days out. But something to put on your literal radar right now is something that we're watching ahead of time. But through the weekend should be a bit calmer than what we've had so far today. But so far we do need the rainfall, so at least there is that positive. I appreciate everyone in the chat wishing me a happy birthday. It has been a great day. I've been able to hang with you guys all day long, so no other way than I'd spend it, right? You guys are fantastic. So I appreciate all the wishes, and you guys are so sweet, and I'm just so blessed to work in such a great community that, you know, always treats me like family, even though I'm technically an outsider being from Alabama, but Mississippi is my home, so I'm glad to be here. I'm trying to read what I'm missing here. So we have a long way to get that, a long way to go to get that 5 inches of rain that y'all have been talking about. So let's actually address that, Terry, real quick. So one of the things that we've been showing you is a graphic that shows the total rainfall output for the entirety of this event. And as I drag in that same graphic, we can see that we have even more rainfall over this next 7-day stretch. So this is the Weather Prediction Center's output. We're 3 to 4 additional inches. Well, if you saw it at the top of our broadcast, let me bring it back here, and I'm going to put it on accumulated rainfall over the last 24 hours. I mean, if you're in Webster County, we don't have that long of a way to go. We're seeing 3.9 inches. So to reach 5 inches, we need 1.1 inch over this next 7-day soggy stretch. So I don't think 5 inches is out of the question by any means. I actually think in some spots it'll be even higher than 5 inches. But some areas, I mean, if we're looking towards Fulton, if we're looking towards Columbus, not as high of an output. So I do understand there is that. But when we said there'd be 5 inches, that was not a uniform 5 inches across North Mississippi. That was as those worked through North Mississippi. So I apologize if that was what was understood, but I wanted to clarify that. And we definitely needed the rain, that is for sure. I believe that is Deanna. So I appreciate that shout out, that is for sure. And I did see the transplant. I'll take it. But no, and I did see someone earlier on saying, bless you. Thank you very much. The pollen gets me every year. So I really do appreciate that. Well, you guys, I don't want to keep you up too long. I know we've kept you up long enough, but I do want to encourage you, if you want to tune in at 10 o'clock tonight, we're going to be going over these rain chances through the weekend a little bit more. So I encourage you to join us. It's always a great time at 10 o'clock, and we get to answer some of your questions. So if you have any questions, put that in the chat, and we'll go over that in more detail coming up at 10. But until then, thank you so much for the birthday wishes. Or keep coming on in, and I want to make sure I give everyone a thank you. You guys are great. I cannot wait to see you guys coming up at 10 o'clock tonight for my birthday wish. I know I said it was to stay safe tonight, but that wasn't the only wish I had. The other wish is that you would download the Mississippi Live Weather app, free and available on iOS and Android today. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and then download the app. And we're available on all of these there at the bottom. You kind of see all the different notifications there, all the different icons. Facebook, X, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Google Play, Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, our website, all the goods, right? And again, we appreciate you for doing that for us. So you guys have a fantastic night. Make sure to join us at 10 o'clock tonight. That is our next broadcast. And coming up through the weekend, Caleb will be live at 6, 9, and 10 right here from the Room to Room Weather Center. So anything's going on, he'll be here first to let you guys know what's taking place and walk you through those rain chances ahead as well. We will see you guys there. You guys have a fantastic Friday night. Sleep well, and we'll see you here at 10.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
Thank you, Dennis, for supporting Mississippi Live.
At Vibe Aesthetics and Wellness, we believe confidence isn't just how you look, it's how you feel. From subtle, natural aesthetics to personalized wellness care, everything we do is intentional. This is beauty with purpose. At Vibe Men's Health, we take that same approach. We focus on what matters most: strength, energy, and performance. Built on real data, real medicine, and real results, we're here to help you look better, feel stronger, and live fully. Come vibe with us today.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Well, what a night it has been here in North Mississippi as storms have moved through our area. I almost said severe, but we stayed out of the severe weather threshold tonight, fortunately. But down south, a little bit of a different story. Those storms continue tonight, but will taper out as we head during those overnight hours. So rain chances, they're sticking around. Don't worry, you might hear rumble of thunder, but we're not expecting any more severe weather tonight as the more severe elements are towards our south and towards our southwest. But there will be some dry moments this weekend. One of the big things we've been talking about are rain chances throughout that weekend time frame and how it might be hard to get to those double-decker plans or Super Bulldog weekend plans. Well, it does look like there will be some windows of opportunity. We'll track that out here in just a moment, county by county. And the severe chances, yes, that potential severe weather moving in next week with multiple chances at that. And we'll look at both of those here in just a moment. As we assess the first 12, it shows that soggy pattern overnight. So honestly, in my opinion, I love a good rainstorm overhead whenever you're going to sleep because you know it's not going to be severe, you know it's not going to be impactful, but you get to hear that pitter-patter on the roof. Oh, I'm getting tired just thinking about it, but I guess that's also from the 5 hours of coverage we've done today. Either way, that's a pretty comfortable night. Perhaps a few rumbles of thunder, but nothing severe expected here in our area. As we move into the overnight hours and the start of our Saturday morning, starting off on a high note with the rain chances kind of tapering on out. Those chances being driven by this cold front. And as you can see, there's where that severe weather potential lies, well down there towards our south around Laurel, around Hattiesburg, around the Gulfport area, and then moving further towards the coastal regions as we get into the 10, 11 o'clock hour. So here in North Mississippi, while we do get some of those showers, overall coverage remaining pretty minimal. We're watching this next batch now moving south and east, and we see that severe thunderstorm watch in place until 4 a.m. That's going to continue to move in the southeast direction. So if I'm drawing this out, and I'll use green once again. Well, do I have green? We'll use yellow for severe thunderstorm warnings. So as we track this out, we're looking at that latest stretch. If it continues that same track, maybe moving through the Rolling Fork area, but that's if it even maintains its strength. And overall, we're expecting that fuel to continue to dissolve away overnight, and it's not going to be nearly as potent of an environment. As we look at this entire setup, it is going to be up there towards the, is it going to advance? Let me see. Oh, I might have just messed this all up. Let me go back. So there's the surface analysis. What I wanted to look at was up there towards the north. This is the setup that's driving our pattern. And if you look, this is our cold front, and you'd automatically think, well, back behind the cold front, going to be a calmer pattern that we get to enjoy. Not exactly. We have a stationary front that branches off of it, and it's going to make this frontal system actually become stationary as well. What that means is it keeps rain chances around, keeps that warm, moist air around as well, and that's why we see those chances continue throughout the weekend. Limited capacity compared to what we've had on our Friday, but chances nonetheless, and we'll see that through the weekend as well, and we'll track that out here in just a moment. As we're looking at that latest severe weather risk, they are keeping that level 2 threat for parts of Highway 82 and south because of this complex of storms over there towards Louisiana, Texas, and southern Arkansas. As that advances towards the south and east, they're giving some wiggle room up here towards Greenville and Yazoo City for the potential of a few strong thunderstorms trying to move on through. So if we do get anything on the heftier side, it's going to be far southwest portion of our viewing area as that does extend towards the southeast direction. But comparatively speaking, a much different environment out there towards Texarkana and Shreveport. But with that being said, the chances are minimal, but they're not completely zero to get some of that thunderstorm activity back there towards Greenville. So getting a look at Futurecast on your 10 o'clock hour. It has the complex a little bit more towards the south than what radar is reading. That's a difference we're seeing right away. But as these rain chances kind of shift off there towards the south and east, you can see that that's that main batch moving on through. Well, back behind it, we see this batch start to move through El Dorado, Monroe, Louisiana, and potentially having a few rumbles of thunder with it as well. Our strike model, actually more minimal in coverage than our HRRR model was. But our HRRR model, I'll be honest, has struggled through this entire event. It has not done the best on the positioning on the rain chances, so that's why I didn't want to show it tonight. is because it shows a hefty portion down there towards Greenville and Yazoo City. But overall, I'm expecting the strike model to prevail because it's just not as potent of an environment. I don't see these storms flaring up. But up here towards northeast Mississippi, haven't had a ton of action, so there is still enough of that warm, unstable air to keep these rain chances around. And that's why I don't think it's impossible to get some of that developing towards the early hours of our Saturday morning. So as we look at those low temperatures, we're going to be in the low to mid 60s, 61 New Albany and Boonville, 60 Eupora, 63 Greenwood, 65 Cleveland, and same thing there towards Belzona. I do know it is an active weekend, not just in the sky, but also here in the Magnolia State. Let's take a look at those day planners for any of those festivals that you may be headed to this weekend. So the Double Decker Arts Festival, you can see those rain chances lingering throughout the morning, but getting into the afternoon, things do shape up a little bit better, and we're going to be drying out a bit, definitely much more than what we've been so far today. So that means there's your window of opportunity. While a shower is not impossible, it's not going to last nearly as long. So let those showers pass on through if they do pop up. And the Mississippi Live Weather app does a great job of letting you know when those showers are moving through. So download the app today. You'll be good to go. But basically, that window of opportunity by the afternoon does look good to go. Same thing for Super Bulldog Weekend down there in Starkville. So two of the main events here in North Mississippi for our college towns should be experiencing a better day on our Saturday compared to what we've had on Friday. And with that being said, we have had some changes in scheduling with Ole Miss. We'll look at those baseball forecasts here in a moment as well. But what I was talking to you guys about is this stationary front that remains overhead, keeping those to taper on out. They're not going to be nearly as impactful, but they never fully go away. So look at the isolated development down south, more isolated development up there towards the north, right along this frontal boundary. So we do expect rain chances to continue, but we're not going to be as widespread as what it's been tonight. But don't be surprised if you experience a brief heavy downpour throughout those afternoon plans. But if you look at the overall coverage, we're staying mostly dry, all things considered. So high temperatures on your Saturday. We're getting into the upper 70s, low 80s, enough where we do have some fuel mixing in, but where we're lacking is the upper level wind support. That's more potent out there towards the west, and that's why they have a level 3 risk in place once again for parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Arkansas as that works on through. So we're in a level 1 risk there towards Greenville, but overall, I don't see much that's pushing me to a severe weather threat. We'll see where we could see some potential strong storms here in just a moment. But your high temperatures, like I mentioned, upper 70s, low 80s, going to be a warm afternoon once again, and that helps drive some of this thunderstorm activity. So the front, it lingers in our pattern. That's key because watch what happens Saturday night. You see that complex that begins to work there towards northern Arkansas, that will begin to shift off there towards the south and east, and watch as it crosses the river what takes place. You get those deeper reds, like we were talking about yesterday evening. Those deeper reds are where our concern for severe weather. They're getting that down towards the south, and that's where they're getting some of those stronger storms. We're getting more of those on our Sunday morning pre-dawn. Not exactly ideal time frame, but our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut will be watching this in case we do need to cut in a little bit early, and he'll have the latest updates coming up at 6, 9, and 10 tomorrow evening. Latest positioning, latest impacts. You'll want to tune in for that potential impact on our Sunday morning. So as that clears towards our south and west, hopefully remaining below severe limits, but that potential is there, at least in a limited capacity, and we'll see that here in just a moment. 63 Tunica, 65 Cleveland and Clarksdale. We're 60 Eupora and Houston, but a few upper 50s showing up. Bruce, Boonville, Corinth, Iuka. That's around our average for this time of year, but the 60s definitely show a mild pattern, at least sticking around through our weekend time frame. The stationary front does what it does best, remains stationary. And that's where we see those rain chances stick around even into our Sunday afternoon in a more widespread capacity. So I do expect rain chances to be a bit higher on Sunday than our Saturday. But by Sunday afternoon, and one thing I was writing in the article just a moment ago is the fact that there will be another window of opportunity Sunday afternoon into the evening hours as that complex shifts towards our south and east, leaving us mostly dry. Mostly dry. Yeah, that's it. On our Sunday evening. So that stationary front just giving us those rain chances throughout the weekend in a scattered variety. So high temperatures Sunday afternoon, going to be warm once again. We're 83 Tupelo and Amory, 79 Cleveland, 82 Belzona and Greenwood, and 81 Tunica and Holly Springs. We carry that over into our Sunday night. And again, the stationary front just sticking around and giving us more of those rain chances through the start of our Monday. So starting the work week off with a little bit of those showers as well, so grab that rain gear. But again, it's going to be in a more limited capacity. Our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut tracking Sunday night, what we can expect for Monday, and better fine-tuning that forecast once we get into the start of the week as well. We still get those southerly breezes driving up that warm, moist air. And by the time we get into our Monday afternoon, it's priming the atmosphere for that next system that's moving into North Mississippi. Where we see that? Up there towards the Midwest, working its way through Kansas and Oklahoma, driving up some of these showers and storms up there towards Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri, areas that have seen too much severe weather, which honestly, any severe weather is too much severe weather, but they've definitely seen a lot this year already, and they're getting even more heading into our Monday. But getting into the afternoon and evening, you see how this cluster begins to form right along that frontal boundary. That will begin to shift off there towards the east, giving us the potential of a few strong storms as well. Primarily going to be that northwest side of our area, but definitely something we're watching for on our Monday. But looking at Sunday, you can see how that level 1 threat does begin to move a little bit into North Mississippi. Reason why is that complex working through Arkansas and, oh my word, said so many states in the last 2 minutes that it's just all become jumbled. That's how busy today has been. But it's moving through Arkansas and then into Mississippi, and that's where we could see some of those strong storms develop. Limited capacity, not expecting a multitude of reports, but we're at least in that risk in some form or fashion. Where we expect more of an increase in that severe weather potential is into our Monday with that level 2 threat. It has been shifted more towards the north, but we're still included there towards Senatobia, up there towards South Haven, even towards Ripley and Corinth. So watching for that, and for areas that are not included in that level 2 threat, one thing that I do expect they'll add here in the next 24 hours is going to be that marginal risk, and I'll briefly draw what I believe that would be the marginal threat. And you can see that will probably include all of us here in North Mississippi. So that green showing up right there, I'm going to try to color it in, but I didn't pass kindergarten. What can I say? Because I can't color that in. There we go. What's a little coloring at 10 o'clock going to do? There you go. So that's where I expect the rest of us to be in a level 1 threat. So just because you're not included in the yellow, the only reason you're not included in a threat is because level 1 threats don't get issued until 3 days before. So that's where we would expect that to build in tomorrow morning, and we'll have updates on that coming up at 6, 9, and 10. So your Saturday and Sunday, scattered variety of those showers and storms, but Monday and Tuesday is where that complex moves into North Mississippi, giving us those increased rain chances and storm chances as well. Towards the end of the week, on our Friday, that's where we see our next complex moving in. Now, there is still some questions in regards to the timing. Thursday, Friday, has been shifted, has been bounced back and forth. How that lines up will be better tuned through the weekend. So that's why you need to tune in just for the rain chances we're getting on the weekend, the early system that's moving in next week, and then fine-tuning that pattern for the end of our work week next week. So lots to take in. This is a very active pattern, but trust me, we're going through all of this with you. Want to make it as easy to understand as possible. And the best way to do that is by tuning into each broadcast where you can hear each run come out. And we'll, of course, walk you through that as we get closer. Sorry, I was reading the chat, and I do want to say, if you have any questions in the chat, please feel free to put it in there, and we'll be glad to answer that coming up after the break. But that's all coming up in the next 60 seconds. 10 o'clock is our interactive show to make sure that you guys have everything you need before we head into, in this case, the weekend ahead. We'll talk baseball coming up right after the break here in the next 60 seconds as Mississippi Live Weather at 10 continues right after this. Maybe. I do this every time. Guys, I promise I'll remember one day. Right after this.
Accident detective. Should I call 888-8888?
How do you know that number?
I am from Mississippi.
Ma'am, dial the 8s.
Calling the 8s.
Dial the 8s.
I'm Attorney Casey Lott. When you're hurt in Mississippi, even lifeless objects know who to call.
Don't wait. Dial the 8s.
I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem. And that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, Ole Miss fans are eager for some baseball as their game tonight got stripped from their hands and got pushed to Saturday. That's right, 1 o'clock first pitch happening in Oxford along with double-decker weekend. Going to be a great time out there with a doubleheader in store for Ole Miss and Georgia. Two ranked teams going head-to-head on the diamond. Should be a great weekend there in Oxford. I know the Maynor household will be tuned in to see who comes out on top in that one. The chance for an isolated shower is there, but overall our coverage is pretty minimal, so we have the chance to not have a drop of rain, but go ahead and grab that umbrella to be on the safe side. Temperature-wise, we're comfortable. 74 first pitch, 78 towards the final out. The second game, maybe a little bit cooler during the evening, but overall we should be a pretty comfortable day, all things considered. Now, State. What a game tonight. An 11th inning thriller where State came out on top with a walk-off home run. So shout out Mississippi State. Hail State was definitely a proud alum heading into tonight, watching that behind the scenes. But down in Starkville, it was a soggy night tonight. Potential remains for that tomorrow, but we're going to have a more limited variety of those showers. So I know, folks, tonight we're dealing with rainfall for 2 hours of the game since we went into extra innings. So tomorrow, not going to be that long. But if we do get showers, that's why it's so heavy. This is a point forecast. So it's looking specifically at Starkville based off of models. So it's going to up those rain chances specifically for Starkville, whereas you might not see a drop in Starkville. It just depends on how those models pan out. But overall, there is that potential, just like Oxford, to remain dry throughout the day or to deal with a few off and on showers. So it's just going to be scattered throughout the day. Better to be on the safe side, even down there in Starkville. So yes, folks in the chat are talking about rainfall, and they're exactly right. We needed it so bad here in North Mississippi, and we got a good bit of it. Let me see where this was from. I believe it was Brittany that said this. Let me scroll back up to the top. I need like 3 inches of rain here in Ethelsville, Alabama. Listen, for some of us tonight, got 3 inches of rainfall. Let me bring it back in here, and we're going to put on that 24-hour rain total. Yeah, Eupora, all the way over there in Webster County, got multiple of those heavy rain producers. And if we look at those accumulated rainfall totals, 4.2, it's gone up. So 4.2 inches, that is quite a bit of rainfall. Whereas if we're looking in Alabama, I mean, trace amounts, oh, that's wild. That was just trace amounts. Maybe up to 1/4 of an inch down there in Pickens County. And the rest of us here in North Mississippi just populating in a few of those totals. You can see that a few inches showing up, but that is definitely beneficial. We need as much rainfall as we can get. So the good thing with tonight was the fact that we got a lot of rain and the severe weather remained out of our area. That's as ideal as it gets. Nikki saying we got robbed in Itawamba. Yeah. Don't worry, my house didn't get much either. So like I'm in the same boat. Luckily I watered this afternoon because I was like, we're never lucky with the rain. So I just knew it. I had that gut feeling. But Nikki, I appreciate you wishing a happy birthday as well. You guys have been so kind all day long, even with the weather going on, wishing me a happy birthday. And it's definitely been a special one. I got to spend it with you guys this afternoon as we tracked those severe storms. So trust me, I am excited to wrap up the day just like you guys and enjoy a calmer evening at home. And of course, I'll be celebrating with my family later on as soon as we wrap up this broadcast, actually. So appreciate the birthday wishes from everybody. You guys have been so sweet and so kind. And it's time to get the dad shorts and white New Balances ready. Ironically, that is exactly what I wanted to wear to the hospital. So that is a full fit that I'm ready to rock and roll with. I see, I believe that's Kayla, that is talking about Macon getting hit pretty hard right now. Well, let's take a look down there in Macon and actually use our North Mississippi Storm Chaser camera there. And we'll be getting a visual on what I expect to be a pretty decent lightning producer down there in Macon, as this has been the complex that we've been watching here in North Mississippi for a while. It's honestly a very welcome sight, the fact that I'm not seeing much lightning right now. Because earlier on, it was like every second a new strike. Well, now I just feel like it's a challenge to see if we can get one. That's looking better. That is definitely positive. Okay, what we're dealing with right now is, and let me bring it back to our radar mode, is some of that heavy rainfall in Macon. Exactly right, getting hit in that matter. But if we're looking at the wind mode, there is some of that strong wind as well. Why is this forming? Well, we have what we call a wake low beginning to form, and that can have those stronger winds within this system. As you can kind of see that, I'll have to put on the national radar here real quick. But you can kind of see, oh, we're drawing again. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what the 10 o'clock is about. There we go, we'll use a red. So right here is almost where you get that low pressure to form. So if we put this on a loop, we'll go 1 hour. You can see how we kind of have that wrapping around in that counterclockwise motion right over the top of, unfortunately, Macon in this scenario. So you're getting these bands of rainfall that are beginning to work their way through, but we'll also get some of those gustier winds as well. The winds feel like tornado winds. I don't know if they're up to that extreme, but they definitely are gusty, that is for sure. I believe we have a wind populator. So let's go ahead and actually go to the latest scan, and we are definitely getting some strong winds out there. Back there towards Macon. Actually, it might be off a little bit. This is kind of interpolated around the area. So we're talking 20 to 30 miles an hour there at the surface. So we're definitely getting some of those stronger winds there in Macon, as well as some of the surrounding areas in Lowndes County towards the Kemper County area. And we could populate that in. This is just going to be higher up into the atmosphere. Yeah, 20 to 30 miles an hour. So definitely some breezy conditions. So those could knock out some power, or oh my word, could cause some power outages. Can you tell we've been live a lot today? And if we look at those power outages, getting a few that are starting to pop up there in Macon. So that's been the concern that I was talking about this time last night, was any of those power outages forming. It is interesting to see that we have those power outages coming out of Tippah and Benton County. I want to put it back on radar mode real quick and actually go back, because that could have been a strike. It doesn't look like it was anything that was like severe weather related. So that's at least a positive. But that's a new development, probably a strike that just happened right overhead. And speaking of, I don't have the strikes on there. Let's go ahead and get that on there. Another latest development is the fact that we have gotten a storm report. A tree was downed on Highway 12 near Cummings Road there towards Ackerman. So it shows that these sub-severe gusts are enough to knock down a few trees. Another concern that I was talking about that we would unfortunately have to deal with. You know, we kind of got this to a T of letting you guys know well in advance. We were talking about this Friday setup, the entire team here at Mississippi Live Weather, to keep you guys informed and safe. And everyone has stayed safe tonight, and that's always a positive. But for folks in Macon and Brooksville and Columbus dealing with that heavy rainfall, but this is at least working its way out of the area, and it should not be a concern for too much longer. As you see right here, kind of wrapping around, you can definitely see that counterclockwise flow right there. And that's working right through Knoxville County, going to be shifting out there towards Alabama here in the next few moments. So some heavy rainfall, perhaps a few outages developing, but overall not up to severe potential just yet. Let me see what this is doing, because one of the things I wanted to do was verify that model a little bit more. So we're starting to get some of those cells developing out ahead of this setup there towards Greenville, all the way out there towards Monticello, Arkansas. These cells are going to honestly limit that severe weather potential. What it's latching onto is a boundary. And that boundary is going to eat at some of the energy that's in play. And all these storms that are trying to develop there towards Fordyce and Pine Bluff are going to be limited in their potential because of the storms that are eating up the energy out ahead. So seeing these showers develop is a welcome sight, and that lowers my confidence on any of those strong storms forming. So did that show power outages in Atala County? Let's check it. It sure did. Power out in Wisdom County? Is that Winston County? Very scary sounding. No power here. Lake Forest Road in Macon. Yeah, Macon dealing with some gusty conditions. And that, if that was Winston County, yeah, Winston, Helen, I thought so. I was using my wisdom to find that out. But Winston County dealt with the same complex. You know, you have that strong wind wrapping around that wake low, and once that moves on through, you get those stronger wind gusts that produce, you know, some sporadic power outages as well. So yes, we're dealing with some of those outages across North Mississippi right now. As we look at those numbers, let me see if we can get an exact number on this. Some of them are so few that it's not showing up on our graphic because it's not a ton of reports, but where we're getting at least a good number is 100 up there towards Tippah and Benton County, 300 there towards Atala County, a few sporadic outages, Louisville and Macon. So those power crews I know are out and hopefully getting that fixed here during the overnight hours. So just be patient tonight, but unfortunately we have remained pretty minimal on those severe weather reports. As we bring it back to our radar, I'm going to continue to look at one other thing I wanted to look at before I let you guys go is the dew points and see how this has progressed with this rainfall. Yeah, so dew points are starting to lessen overnight as well. You kind of see those greens showing up a bit more And then you're also getting that lighter blue start to move into North Mississippi. So that's lowering our severe weather potential as well. A welcome sight once again. So everything that I'm seeing is a welcome sight overnight to the fact that I don't think we're having any severe weather in our area overnight. I think that severe weather threat has shifted to our south. Speaking to, you know, I will go home at some point. I promise that. But if you're still with us tonight, I'm sure that you are weather fans and wanting to stay safe. Well, what we're dealing with down there in Hattiesburg, or at least just outside of Hattiesburg towards Prentiss, not Prentiss County, Prentiss, Mississippi, is a tornado warning. Now this expires at 11:15, so this just recently issued. We actually have a camera with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers down in Hattiesburg, and I believe it should be pointed the right way. Let me see, we'll be looking through the tower. Does it have a direction on there? I can tell you that's probably the direction with the lightning there in the distance. So that would be the tornado warning off there in the distance, moving just north and west of Hattiesburg. So paying attention to this camera, of course, you can definitely tune into the Mississippi Live weather app to watch this camera as it does move on through. But fortunately, this is well towards our south. As I mentioned, this is Hattiesburg, so not going to be affecting us here in North Mississippi. But wanted to at least pull that up, see if we had a visual on it. I mean, it's right there. So if it were producing anything, we'd have a visual. Okay, I didn't see one there. I was looking for anything that was lowering or dipping down, and I didn't see anything right there where that had that big strike. So say a prayer for folks down there. They have been dealing with a lot of reports, as you can see, but everyone's night hopefully getting on the calmer side as we enter overnight as well, and some of that unstable air moves on out. Yeah, well, Helen, I hope that nothing happens to the house. It's just going to be, like I said, sub-severe gusts. You're just dealing with that wake low moving on through. We'll be moving through Macon and then towards Aliceville towards the overnight hours as well. But shouldn't be anything severe out of it. Just going to be some of those gusty winds that might be a little bit menacing, but should remain below severe limits, and the heavy rainfall as well. But that's really it here in North Mississippi. That being said, we do have those thunderstorms starting to move along Highway 82 closer to Greenville. Let me look at that at least to give a track on that as it's moving into the area, kind of that next system that we've been watching, and getting a look out of our Jackson radar site. I want to first look, because I do believe that this could be some potential hail that's trying to form. We get that hail swath, and I'm going to actually have to go here. Okay, so no hail just yet, but it did look like it was getting a bit of a core. And as we look at those winds, it's not impossible to get some of those stronger winds out of it. That's towards Leland, right along Highway 82, moving closer to Inverness as it moves in that southeast direction. Let's put a loop on this to make sure I have the right path and speed on this. So something I will do behind the scenes. So as we track this out, yes, this is just developing along a boundary. So this is going to continue to build into our area as this system moves on in. That's going to be building closer to Indianola, moving in that eastern direction, but almost like a southeast flow to it as well. So let's get that latest scan, and let me actually get a speed on this. I'll have to go 30 minutes because unfortunately it does not have a full hour track. So as we watch that, let me make sure I have the leading edge. There we go. All right. I'll go to the latest scan, measure this out, and there we go. So we're about, oh, that is not fast at all. That is like 15 miles an hour. So let's go ahead and do a speed on this, or do a track on this. That's going to be moving definitely not that fast. We'll do 20 to give it at least a bit of a heads up. So Johnsonville by about 1044, 1050 there towards Markham. And as we look right here, I'm going to drag this out much further because I know that's not covering a good majority of us. We're seeing Old Dominion 1121, Matthews Crossing 1122, Petite 1123, Morgan City closer to 1128. And if we really drag this out, let's say a 40-mile track, and I will clear off the Skycam network. You can see that we are headed towards Murdoch Crossing 1135, Phillipstown 1140, Egypt by 1142, or Marksville 1143, Kruger by 1151, Sidon 1154, Meeks 1159, closer to Adair by about 1216. This is as these cells move on in, we are looking high up into these storms as it is a ways away from the radar site. We're kind of in that in-between section between all three of our radar sites, but it looks like, let me do a loop real quick. I think just found something out. The entire thing is a boundary. You can see it right there from Greenville all the way towards Tula, Kosciuszko, and Philadelphia. We have these storms that are beginning to form, and they're just popping up. They're bubbling up. So this is an entire boundary that we're watching as it moves into southwest Mississippi. So that complex that we were talking about a moment ago, definitely trying to at least move in, but I think this is going to compete with each other for some of that activity. But we're definitely getting some of those electric cells at least moving into North Mississippi, a little bit higher on those lightning strikes compared to some of the cells earlier on. But let me see real quick. Yeah, there's that hail core at least trying to form. I'm surprised we haven't gotten a shot there on our True Shield Roofing hail threat. But as you look just along Highway 82 towards Dunleith and closer to Hollyknow, I think that's how you say it, that's where we could be getting some of that small hail at least trying to reach the surface. So we just did a track on it. Let me see if we have a shot out of Greenville on this, because we're going to get at least a good bit of lightning strikes. So as we look right there, going to hold this for a second. This is looking northwest, which would be, we might need to change that to the east. Behind the scenes, I'm going to change this over to the east. Oh, there's some of the lightning. I'll have to get the camera network here behind the scenes. I promise I'm still there. I just have it on another computer. So we're looking at Greenville, and I'm going to see if we can move that to look towards the east at some of these storms, and then I'll move it back because I do want to make sure that we continue to assess those storms that are moving directly into the area. So we're going to go all the way to the east. Get a bit of lightning out of those cells that are moving in. As we look towards the east, yeah, there's that heavy downpour, lots of lightning attached to that one. But yeah, you're going to see those locally heavy downpours for sure. That's it's entering an environment that says 63-degree dew points in Greenville. So overall, I should remain below severe limits, but you can see the rain shaft on it. That is definitely a heavy rain producer, that's for sure. So these are going to continue to work through southwest Mississippi. If anything does get on the stronger side, of course, we will be right here to update you guys. But we're going to continue to watch this behind the scenes. But as of right now, it's just going to be a stormy evening for some, a rainy evening for others. And of course, we are looking at the severe weather potential further south. But here in North Mississippi, so far just looking like those cells trying to work their way on through, latching onto a boundary and trying to at least increase in strength just a bit. I did see some folks asking about Hattiesburg, and as you can see, we don't have anything confirmed at the moment. If I go and look at velocity, though, I might have to turn off lightning real quick. Let me see how this has progressed. The issue it there. It doesn't look incredibly organized, but that definitely has an interesting hook to it. So that's where it stands out as potentially a tornado producer. And if we can get one more look out of Hattiesburg, and then I'll probably wrap it up tonight because I can feel my voice. I can feel the allergies already kicking, but I continue to get a look out there. You can see the lightning. And like I said, if you want to watch this on the Mississippi Live Weather app, you can. We do have our Skycam network on there. Just click that and click Hattiesburg, and you'll be able to pull it up and watch it for yourself at home. But this is out of our area, so we are saying a prayer for folks down there. But fortunately, here in North Mississippi, we are not dealing with any of that tornadic development. So just saying a prayer for everyone that has been affected. So as we work our way, that looks more interesting. Let me see real quick. You can see the shear rate increasing as well. It's trying to produce. So we'll keep eyes on that one behind the scenes, but we're just watching what's happening here in North Mississippi. And overall, as we look at that coverage, it's just going to be that boundary with some storms that are developing in southwest Mississippi, but overall remaining below severe limits. Those gusty winds still moving through Noxubee County. So just a few different things we're watching here behind the scenes, but overall should remain below severe limits, and we'll continue to watch that here behind the scenes as Mississippi Live weather continues through the weekend. We'll cut in as necessary, like I said, all eyes and all hands on deck, and we're going to do what we can to keep you guys safe, so I can guarantee you that. But you guys have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy some of those drier conditions. Make sure to download that Mississippi Live weather app to stay up to date throughout those weekend plans. It will update you on where you are and what's moving in to make sure you guys stay not only safe, but also dry. So download that Mississippi Live weather app today. We appreciate all of your support. I appreciate all of the birthday wishes. You guys have been fantastic. Our next show is at 6, 9, and 10 with our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut. We will see you right here in the Room to Room Weather Center. And like I said, if we need to cut in before, we will, to keep you guys safe and posted. So keep it here for the very latest. We'll keep you guys safe. Have a wonderful weekend.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.